Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you can guesswork. Please guys participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1.
You will hear a conversation between Rachel and Caesar. They are discussing a field trip for the following week. First, you will have some time to read questions 1 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 7.
Hi, Caesar. How are you?
Good, thanks, Rachel. I'm fine. I was going to ring you tonight, so it's a good thing I've run into you. I wanted to remind you about the field trip, the 2-day field trip next week.
What field trip?
The geography field trip to the Warragamba Dam and the water treatment plant. It's a compulsory part of the first year environmental science course. Didn't you know about it?
No, I must have missed that piece of information. This is news to me. But give me the details, please.
Sure. Well, we have to meet outside the library next Monday at 7 in the morning, or you can meet us at 7:45 at the bus station in time to catch the coach, which departs at 8 o'clock.
Oh, all right. And how long does it take to get to this place?
Well, once we're on the coach, it will take about 2 hours. No, actually more like 2.5 hours at that time of day. And it could take as long as 3 hours to come back the next day because of the evening traffic.
And what's the purpose of the trip?
Didn't you get the course outline? You don't seem to know anything about this course.
Well, remember, I only started at the university a month ago, so I joined the course 2 weeks late, and I've been trying to catch up ever since.
Oh, of course. Well, we spend the first day visiting the dam. I believe we actually go inside the wall of the dam, which is really quite interesting, to see the dam functioning, you know, how much they regulate the water supply each day, depending on how much water is needed downstream in Sydney.
Oh, okay. And, so if this is a 2-day trip, where are we staying? Not camping by the dam, I hope?
No, not camping. They do actually have some overnight cabins near the dam for visiting groups, but we're spending the night in a youth hostel in a town nearby. That's all been arranged by the university.
And what about meals? Should we take our own food along?
No, you won't need to do that. The hostel provides 2 meals, breakfast and an evening meal, and we can find a cheap place to buy lunch.
Great. So, is this the only dam that supplies water for Sydney?
There are a couple of others too, but this is the main one.
Well, with a population of over 4.5 million people, I suppose we do use thousands of litres each day.
Absolutely. In fact, according to my notes here, they pump the water through something like 20,000 kilometres of pipes and canals and store the water in 262 service reservoirs. And each day we use enough water to fill 600 Olympic swimming pools. Now you will have another chance to look at questions 8 to 10. As the conversation continues, answer questions 8 to 10.
And what's happening on the second day?
Well, we're coming back to town and going to the water treatment plant to see how they purify the water for drinking.
Oh, that should actually be quite interesting. I'll bring my camera.
Yes, that's a good idea, because we're supposed to include original photos for the final piece of work at the end of the course. And make sure you bring a notebook and pen or pencil.
OK, I'll do that.
You'll probably need some good walking shoes and spare clothes too, and I would recommend that you bring a waterproof coat of some sort, because the chances of it raining are pretty good next week. And a hat, perhaps.
Sorry, no. I draw the line at a hat.
Fair enough. And by the way, do you have a mobile phone?
I do, actually.
Well, bring that along, because that way we can keep in touch more easily.
Provided that mobiles work up there, of course.
That's a point.
Do I need a map?
No, I wouldn't bother. We won't need to do any map reading.
OK then. See you on Monday, and thanks very much for letting me know.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear an extract from a radio program called Consumer's Choice, which gives advice to consumers on how to make complaints. First, you will have some time to look at questions 11 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15. Hello everyone! Welcome again to Consumer's Choice, which is the last in our present series. Isn't that right, Wendy?
Yes, that's right. But we'll be back again after summer break with a new series. We'll tell you more about that later. But first, in today's programme, we start off with the missing photographs. We'll tell you a story of Miss Patty Ching, one of our listeners. We'll tell you how she has qualified for our Consumer of the Month award with her determination. Dennis?
Thank you, Wendy. Well, Miss Patty Ching went on a holiday to Europe last month. This was her first ever trip abroad, and one for which she'd been saving for 10 years. Her tour took her around 12 countries in 21 days, and being a keen photographer, she took lots of photographs. 10 rolls of film, to be exact. About 360 photographs. When Patty got back home, she gave all her photos to top-class photo services for developing, and they vanished. She never saw them again. Of course, she was furious with the company and complained. They apologized and offered her compensation, 10 free rolls of film. This made her even more angry, and she rejected this completely inadequate offer and asked for $2,000. The company refused her request, so Patty wrote them a letter telling them to pay up in 10 days or she would take them to court. She received no reply, so she did take them to court. But 2 days before the case was due to be heard, she received a check for $2,000. Top Class had obviously made their minds up on how the judge would decide. Patty's case provides a lesson to all of us. if we want our rights as consumers, we've got to fight for them. So for her determination and spirit, we name Patty our Consumer of the Month. Now you will have another chance to look at questions 16 to 20. As the conversation continues, answer questions 16 to 20.
Thank you, Dennis. And now I'd like to deal with the problem that many of our listeners write about: sale prices. When we go to a sale and see a sign on something saying 50% off or $300 reduced to $100, how do we know the prices really have been reduced? One of our listeners, Mr. Alvin Locke, tells his story. In a department store where I sometimes shopped, I saw a leather belt priced at $100. Too expensive for me, but I liked it and thought I might buy it next time the store had a sale. The store did have a sale, and I went back to look for the belt. It was there all right, but the ticket on it now read $200 reduced to $150. The sale price was actually higher than the normal price. What can we as consumers do in a case like this? The answer to Alvin's question is that, at the moment, all we can do is to complain to the store's management and bring these cases to the attention of the public. Bad publicity might help to put a stop to this dishonest practice. Of course, making a fuss about faulty goods or bad service is never easy. Most people dislike making a fuss. But if something you have bought is faulty or does not do what was claimed for it, you are not asking for a favour to get it right. It is the shopkeeper's responsibility to take the complaint seriously and to replace or repair a faulty article or put right poor service, because he is the person with whom you have entered into an agreement. The manufacturer may have a part to play, but that comes later. So it's quite proper and reasonable to make a complaint about faulty goods or bad service.
Well, Wendy, what do you think is the right way to do that?
Well, the most important thing about making complaints, I think, is that they should be made to a responsible person in authority. Go back to the shop where you bought the goods, taking with you any receipts you may have. Ask to see the shop assistant in a large store. In a small store, the assistant may also be the owner, or you can complain directly. In a chain store, ask to see the manager. If you telephone, ask the name of the person who handles your inquiry, otherwise you may never find out who dealt with the complaint later. Even the bravest person finds it difficult to stand up in a group of people to complain. So, if you do not want to do it in person, write a letter. Stick to the facts and keep a copy of what you write. At this stage, you should give any receipt numbers, but you should not need to give receipts or other papers to prove you bought the article. If you are not satisfied with the answer you get, or if you do not get a reply, write to the managing director of the firm, shop, or organisation. Be sure to keep copies of your own letters and any you receive.
Well, thank you for your good advice. It's nice for every consumer to take an action when he or she gets bad goods or service. And of course, the consumer's choice will continue to press for the government to bring in laws similar to those in other countries to protect consumers by making it illegal to cheat them in this way. And now I'd like to tell you about our new consumer hotline, which came into operation last month. So far, we have received...
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You will hear a tutor answering students' questions about using the college intranet. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hi everyone. I know you have lots of questions about the college intranet. My inbox is full of messages. I thought it would be quicker and more useful to come in and talk to you rather than respond to all the messages. I'm happy to answer, or try and answer, any questions you have about how to use it when we'll be making things available online. I'm the ICT champion for the department, so hopefully I'll be able to help. Yes, Mark, fire away.
Can you tell us when the assignments are going to be put online?
If you're talking about your second assignment, that should be on already. I uploaded it last Monday. Wait a minute, let me check the schedule. Here we are. No, tell a lie. It was the following day, the 14th. Tuesday, the 14th of October. Have you logged into the intranet yet?
No. If the assignment's there, I'll download it after we've finished. Are you putting all the assignments up?
Yes, I've been waiting for your subject tutors to email them to me. As soon as I have them all, I'll put them online. There's a deadline of the 24th of November. All course assignments need to be online by then. That's college policy for all staff, so they'll be there then for sure.
Will there be anything else? Timetables, trip information, that kind of thing? Only there wasn't much online for our course last term.
I know, but we're making more of an effort this time. We'll be releasing your marks for the first assignment soon. That'll be the 17th of November. You'll find them in your My Grades area. Again, the timetables are already there, Mark. You need to log in. I made these available at the beginning of term in September. According to the schedule here, the booking forms, for those who want to go on the Belgium trip, will be available next week on the 29th of October. So don't forget to check then. You need to get these back to us quickly if you want to go. The trip's coming up soon, isn't it? Let's see. Yes, the 19th of November. Now remember, there are lots of learning materials on the intranet as well. Quizzes, web links.
Before you hear more of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Sir, wouldn't it be easier if we were just given the documents, so we don't have to go online to get them?
I know it seems a little frustrating, Claire, but we're doing it this way for a good reason. We're trying to cut down drastically on the amount of paper we get through. I'm afraid that students are always losing documents we give out in class. So we've decided to stop doing this. You have a limited printing allowance, which means you'll probably be more careful with any documents you have to print off. Besides, it means you'll always know where the information is when you need it. If you're at home and you forget an important date or need a document urgently, you can always log into the intranet and get it.
You said something about quizzes, sir.
Yes, we've had permission from the exam board to put some of their past papers online in an interactive form. That means you'll be able to get answers immediately with some feedback. They'll make a nice change from using the paper copies. Most of them are already online, and I'll be putting the rest on over the next couple of weeks. As I said, they're authentic past papers, so you'll get a really clear idea of your progress. Just to let you know, the technology tracks your scores, so your tutors will be able to tell who's having problems and what areas of the syllabus you might need help with. So it's definitely worth spending some time doing them.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You are going to hear a tutor giving a lecture on the subject of obesity. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 31 to 34.
Good afternoon. Today we're continuing our investigation into obesity. We've looked at several factors causing obesity, including lack of exercise and a general sedentary lifestyle, and the role the media plays in promoting the consumption of high-calorific food. In the coming weeks, we'll go on to examine serious eating disorders, such as anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. The decline in formal eating times within the family and the subsequent increase in the degree of snacking that takes place have had a significant effect on obesity. Today, we're going to turn our attention to an example of this, what has been termed emotional hunger or emotional eating, as opposed to the consumption of food to satisfy physical need. Studies have uncovered how our emotional state can lead to us eating more than we physically need. It was originally believed that negative emotions brought on through depression or anxiety were the main cause of this. But it is now acknowledged that positive emotions can have a similar effect on our eating habits. Not everyone is susceptible to emotional eating, and even those who do suffer have highly individual symptoms. However, there are common themes. It seems that people who are already overweight are more susceptible to emotional eating when suffering negative emotions than those who are underweight. Equally, excessive eating of this kind can happen during or after happy events, when larger meals than normal tend to be eaten. So, what are the signs that someone is eating to satisfy an emotional stimulus? Well, there are several differences between emotional and physical hunger. Those experiencing emotional hunger will feel the urge to eat all of a sudden. This compares to the gradual sensation of hunger that occurs with a physical stimulus. Interestingly, and I'm sure many of you will recognize this, when you're eating to satisfy an emotional need for food, the craving will often be for a specific item, like a pizza or something sweet like ice cream. In this kind of situation, nothing else will really satisfy the craving. When the urge to eat is driven by a physical need, you're far less bothered about what you eat. Emotional hunger makes the individual feel the craving must be satisfied immediately by whatever the specific kind of food is. I'm sure we've all experienced that feeling. I must have some chocolate now. In contrast, the need to satisfy sensations of physical hunger seems less urgent. Emotional eaters will carry on eating even when they're full. A person eating to satisfy a physical hunger will be more likely to stop. Finally, and probably not surprisingly, feelings of guilt often follow emotional eating, but not when eating normally. This has serious consequences for those working with patients suffering with obesity. One way to deal with this is to educate sufferers into understanding the different symptoms of physical and emotional hunger, and to try to help them identify the pressure points during a typical day when daily stresses occur. Being conscious of one's eating habits is the first step in dealing with the problem.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.